Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, I got a hot, spicy take for you. I don't really get these that often, mostly because engaging in the internet debate on my hot takes is never that fun for me, especially if I don't feel like they're actually a really strong argument. But in this case today, I think this spicy take is kind of fun. It's not that shocking, in my opinion, but I'm sure you'll prove me wrong. The hot spicy take that I have for you today is why Tailwind is like React. I can already hear you confused or angry. I don't know. I hear some emotion, but stick with me here, and I'm gonna kind of show you my argument why Tailwind and React have more in common than you might think. First things first, React and Tailwind provide primitives for you to build your own application. They're on two different sides of application development, but they both essentially provide you primitives that empower you to build your own application. React, of course, provides the UI side of things, lets you easily use their primitive constructs to create UI on the page. And then Tailwind, on the flip side, provides you primitive CSS to style your page, a match that we all know, HTML and CSS, that's been a long, loving relationship for as long as the web has been around. And then by extension, both Tailwind and React, you're kind of standing on the shoulders of domain experts. There is no way that I could, well, there's a way, it would just take me a really long time, to make the React library myself. I can make a very primitive version, one that, given some data, given some UI, I can merge them to update the DOM, but all the edge cases, all the weird things that React handles for me, that is not what I'm great at. I'm good at making applications. Likewise with Tailwind, I know how to use CSS. I know what Flexbox is. I don't know what CSS Grid is. That's still a thing to learn. But I know CSS by itself, but to actually make a CSS framework and put all my knowledge together in a way that's intuitive and ergonomic to use, that is not my strength either. So I'm absolutely standing on the wizardry and knowledge of these framework authors. Speaking of standing on their shoulders, the way in which Tailwind and React let you use them was actually very controversial. You may not remember because React's now been popular for a long time, but when React first came out and people saw these lines, people flipped out. This was heresy to embed HTML inside of JavaScript. Where is the separation of concerns? Where is your proper coding etiquette? What is this garbage? And it took, I would say, 2 to 3 years for the community at large to get over that hump. This was not a thing that happened overnight. There was a lot of evangelism and writing and talking to kind of show why this actually was valuable. This challenged best practices directly on its head, and it freaked people out, which might remind you of Tailwind, which is also doing this weird utility-first CSS framework thing, making your HTML look like this gobbledygook, and people, understandably, are freaking the F out. Confused why this is better, how it's going to make their lives easier, and what's the deal with separation of concerns. Like, why are you jamming in all this CSS into the HTML? Why are you doing it this way? Tailwind is now facing a headwind on making this not be as scary. I mean, on their page themselves, they even have a whole page dedicated to why utility first is good. There's going to be a lot of work to kind of change minds, especially when you're challenging existing conventions that have been ingrained in people for so many years. I don't know if React has JSX. Yeah, here we go. JSX. They also have a whole section saying why JSX is actually here. Instead of artificially separating technologies, React separates concerns, not code. So again, you're challenging existing conventions. There is rationales put to them. We're not just challenging it for fun. We're not just introducing Flash back on the web. That'd be scary. But there's this weird mental shift that you have to get over to use React and Tailwind to kind of understand why this different way of doing things could actually be better. And naturally, that means that both Tailwind and React are very polarizing. People have very strong emotions around React and Tailwind. Again, React's been around for longer, so people kind of understand it as just what it is. They don't really freak out as much, but Tailwind is this new scary thing, and it's definitely freaking people out, which I understand. Change is weird, change is scary. It took me a long time to even open my mind to even thinking about trying Tailwind. And you know, if you try Tailwind and you see that it's not for you, that's fine. I just really encourage you to try it out and actually get firsthand experience to see what it feels like. Likewise with React, having JSX built in, people have tried React and hated it still, and that's fine. But like, if you don't try things that are different, then you might not know that you might like new things. For example, I used to hate pizza, weird, until I found out that one of my favorite cartoons as a kid, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, ate pizza, and that's what finally pushed me over the edge to try pizza. And now, well, I want to get a pizza oven. I like pizza that much. So things that are weird and different are scary, and it takes a while to get over the hump to try them. And eventually, if you do, you might find out that they might be the best thing since pizza. And last but not least, a way that both Tailwind and React are very similar is that they both have very lovely escape hatches when you actually need to play outside the framework that they provide. In React's case, they have a way for you to directly access the DOM elements if you need to with refs. So you actually have to directly modify them. You can do so. And it's it's built into React. Like, it's not an afterthought. They actually thought about, what if React doesn't fill all the needs that you have? Here's a way to get around that. So it's actually a thing they've thought about to actually solve for. And just likewise in Tailwind, it has a built-in theme that you might not like, so you can fully customize it, which I will never do because I don't have the time or focus to do so. You can also use, you can add new utilities with their API to actually expand the CSS framework. And then, of course, it's just CSS class names, which means that, like, if you want to use your own CSS and everything like that, you can. Like, CSS, Tailwind is kind of by default escape hatchable to do what you want. If you want to use emotion with it or styled components, that is easy to do. There's nothing preventing you from using styled components with Tailwind class names. I might question why you need to do so, but again, the option is there for you. So that's my spicy hot take. I like when my hot takes seem less hot and more logical, because I don't enjoy spewing garbage out into the universe. There's enough of it as is, especially when I get a tummy ache and I gotta, So hopefully that kind of makes you think about Tailwind in a different way, because I'm enjoying this whole Tailwind conversation that's going on my channel right now. People getting really emotional about it, which is great. I love it. I love the emotion. It means you care. It's good to care. I'm just going to fight back a little bit and say, try it before you don't buy it. Weird. Hopefully you enjoyed that video and it kind of changed your mind a little bit. I'll see you again in the next video next week. Till then, stay happy, stay coding.